Hello, everybody. I'm Don Counts, and welcome into our CEO monthly update with Britt Dye, our CEO and General Manager. We've got a big water project starting on the square on May 5th. That's Monday, right?
That's Monday.
Big. This is a big thing. You met with the, I guess the consumers, or that's not right, the business people around the square and talked to them. Maybe you might talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you talked to them about.
Well, we did, and we talked, what our work hours are going to be, and we're going to try to do this job at night where it doesn't interfere with them as much, and, we're going to be out of their way. The opening every morning when they get ready to open for business, or, like this, something goes wrong. Anytime you do a project of this size, you always have problems that's unexpected, and we just hope that we can get everything taken care of, and that's what I told the customers, and because they're very, very important to us to be sure we do the right thing, and we're doing our diligence. We're actually going to be up on the square this morning and doing a walk around to make sure all the contractors are on board, and we got a good set of contractors, a good superintendent, and it's a big company, and we hope to get in there and get out.
I'm sure the public, as we know, will probably be inconvenienced to some, but this is a project that's got to be done, and in some ways it's almost like an open heart surgery in the square itself, so it's a big project. It is a big project.
You taking infrastructure that was put in 60 and 70 years ago, and some of the improvements that we're doing is very well needed, been needed for a long time, and we're able to get some of this funds from the SRF, and some of it's a matching piece of it, and it's helping us out a lot. And it's either do your diligence and get it done and make services better, but our number one goal is to provide safe drinking water.
Absolutely. And I know one thing too, over the years we've done projects around the square, and it being the heart of our community, there is a lot of infrastructure underground.
A lot of infrastructure underground, a lot of old infrastructure underground, and unless you're out there and you're looking at it and see it, it's just hard for you to believe actually what it looks like. And when we started doing the sewer replacement projects, some of the pipe had done deteriorated, and all you had was a hole running through the ground where the pipe used to be, and all that stuff's got to be repaired, it's got to be fixed, and it takes funds to do that. And there was just so many years that nothing was getting done, but it's got to get done.
Got to be done. And one thing that we want to let the public know, if they have any problems or whatever, to let us know. We can give them the real information, the real details, instead of hearing it maybe on Facebook or whatever, because there will be people complaining, I'm sure.
Well, people are going to complain, and, I asked all the business owners that were at in our meeting that day that, if you got a problem, contact us first, and let's see if we can't get it fixed. And if we don't get it resolved, you need to put us on social media. But I'm going to tell you, we're going to get it resolved.
All right. That sounds good. All right. May's Electrical Safety Month, which we're on. This is the last day of April, but May is coming up starting tomorrow. And we have a lot to do to keep our employees and our customers safe in the month of May.
Yeah, and I was looking at the stats on doing electrical work, and they have moved doing electric line work to the top 5 most dangerous jobs, and people don't realize that, they think it's simple to go out and do some of this work, and you wonder why, if you got 5 people on the job site, whether, every one of them's got a responsibility that they got to do, and it's very, very dangerous, but, all the other utilities working with the gas or working with the water and wastewater, or even at our plants, they're all dangerous jobs. It's just different ways they have to do their job, but, it's you can't never be too safe.
That's true. And when we talk about some of the things that we do here is we spend a lot of money and time training, because you want everybody to be prepared for the unexpected, or even sometimes the expected.
That's right. It's just like I sent the board an article not too long ago about 4 linemen got killed over in North Carolina, and they were in the street actually, and a grapple truck from their city over there ran the stop sign, ran through the barricades, and killed 4 linemen standing right there changing a pole. And, it's something that you can always try to be prepared for and be trained for, but you can't control that. And, that's what we have to watch out for.
Something I know you don't like talking about, but when you was a lineman, same thing happened to you. You lost a coworker, and I know that haunts you to this day.
Well, it was a bad night. It was a bad night.
Yep. April is Safe Digging Month. We talk about that a whole lot. If somebody's got any kind of digging project around the house this spring, call 811.
Call 811, very, very important, and people don't understand. If you don't call 811 and you hit any kind of services, that could be underground or overhead, if you do not get those located, and it does damage, they will be billed.
Yep. We ask at least 3 days prior to any digging project. It's a simple dial 811, or there's 811.com as well, and they're a pretty good app for that. So it actually gets you down to where you're located and that kind of thing. So it's really a good thing. As we talk about safety, move over is very, very important. You've got crews, not only water, wastewater, gas, everybody on the side of the road. We ask everybody to please move over. Yeah,
and that's very, very important. Just pay attention. You got so many people on the cell phone these days, and they don't pay attention. We can have 50 cones out there and 5 signs, and we had a customer that ran through all that and almost hit one of our employees. And you can't put a steel wall around everything that we do. You just hope people paying attention when you see signs, utility work ahead, that just pay attention. Get off your phones.
Very few job sites that we go to that we have the cones up, but we see people where they knocked them down. So somebody's already not been paying attention. So we ask everybody just please pay attention. Please move over if in any way possible. Our guys are really, really focused on the job at hand, and sometimes maybe just blinded by the cars going by at 40, 50 miles an hour, which would kill you if you're not careful.
That is correct.
All right. One thing is, you being an old lineman, how people, this is an old problem, and that's people hanging signs on poles. And so even after you take the sign down, you still got the staple and all that to deal with. You might explain, even from your experience, of the dealings with signs on poles.
Well, signs on poles is a very dangerous to our linemen that climb. When you climb a pole and you got staples in the pole, or you got nails in the pole, or you got hooks that been placed in the pole, and you fall, if a lineman cuts out, if you fall to the ground, you're coming down through all that right there, and it can cut you up really bad. It can hurt you, and your hooks, will not go in the pole if it hits a nail and those kinds of things. So we ask that, pole attachments are not good. And,
that's true.
They don't need to be having signs on their poles.
And they'll puncture your gloves, and you don't want that.
Puncture gloves, you're working on energized lines, or, basketball goals. We have basketball goals that's put on poles as well, and that just don't need to happen.
Well, one funny thing is, if some of those places around the avenues and we're real busy intersections, there's probably thousands of staples in the pole. You've seen it.
You see more staples, you see wood. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So anyway, please don't do that, and don't put signs on utility poles. Just keep our crews safe, and just don't do it. There's other ways you can do that. This spring is a time where people are putting in pools and hot tubs, and it's very important that they do the construction and maintenance of the pool very safely, because there's electricity around it, and it could cause somebody to get hurt.
Yes, it's very important when you do that. Contact us. It requires an inspection to be sure everything is safe, because the worst thing that could happen is you get out there and you get in the water, and you get out and the grounds are not properly put in like they need to be, and get somebody killed, and then you're going to have a mess on your hands.
Absolutely. And another thing we talk about is, in this case, we want you to get the state inspector to come check it out, make sure it's correct. And if they fail you, then you've got 30 days to get it fixed. And so it's a really good thing to make sure it's done right. But also, we don't have it on our notes, but same way with generators, we want to try to make sure that people install those correctly with a transfer switch, I think you call it, just to make sure that there's no power go back down the power line.
Yeah, we don't need a generator back feeding into the power lines, and that's what it'll do. It'll come back through your house circuits, get back out on the transformer, then it puts it back out on the primary conductor, and it can be a fatal accident for our men out there working.
Yeah, the guys would think that the power was off, however, and it is off. However, the back feed of the generator will kill them. So we ask you to be very, very careful. We've actually, Britt and I've actually seen that out in the field where a street light's on and there's no way any power is on, and lo and behold, it's from a generator, which it kind of blew my mind how that works. So it gets back up to the transformer and it
Yep.
kicks back up, and that's pretty cool. But anyway, please don't do that. We have an opportunity to host quite a few groups come through here, and I think it's an eye-opening experience for a lot of people. We've had Leadership Lincoln, the 24-25 class this year. We've had Chamber of Commerce, Student Advisory Board, and we probably had some others I didn't get all written down. But it's a really good thing for people to come by to take a visit, to hear what you got to say, and maybe tour the place and get a real idea of what this place is like.
Yeah, we like, to show people our facilities and what all it consists of, especially in our control room that we have as far as everything that comes in from all utilities. And, a lot of people are amazed of doing everything that we do, and with 5 different utilities, and, won't be long, we'll be having 6 different utilities.
Oh, yeah, 6 counting Petersburg, which is coming down the pike, sounds like. You might want to mention a little bit about that. That's not on our notes, but...
Well, Petersburg, we met with the comptroller's office that came down, and, it's time to move, and we've been very patiently about moving, and now we are moving, and so we're going to nip it in the bud.
Very good. Well, financially, there's a lot of repairs has to be done to that particular thing, but also you might want to tell our customers that it will not affect any of our current customers, that cost at Petersburg.
And that is correct. It'll be a whole entirely different set of books. It will not affect the customers we have now that's on the FPU system, and we got to do a good job to make sure that is the case. And, there's a lot of work that needs to be done up there. I talked to their engineer that's in doing some work now, and I talked to him yesterday, and we're going to meet with him shortly to be sure if we got all the GPS on the meter locations and those kinds of things, so we can get it in our billing system, which is going to take some time to get all that done. If they're all the same electric customer, then, it's still going to take a while. It's just not going to be where you're going to add this water account to your electric account, and that's not the case. It's more to it than just that.
Yeah, somebody asked me not too long ago what takes so long to make that happen, but it's a very big process to do what you're talking about there.
Yeah, when you're dealing with a billing software, especially with all the information that you got with the data, your service address for one service might be entirely different from the other service, and then you have to go in there and get all that. Then you have to get the right contact information, because we try to have the right contact information, which is very, very important, especially if you have trouble and we do not have a good phone number, because if we need to call you, we really need to get a hold of you.
Yeah, a lot to do in Petersburg to get that up and going. And you mentioned that we'll have separate books on that, but all of our departments have separate books. You might explain a little bit about that, how we don't take from electric to pay for water or vice versa.
Yeah, you cannot commingle funds. So that means electric stands on its own, water, wastewater stands on its own, telecom stands on its own, the natural gas stands on its own, and very, very important that you got to do the right thing. And we have so many auditors throughout the year. It's just not like we can go out there and do whatever we want to do. And, with the new board members, they're finding, a lot of things of what's being told on the streets not always true. Yeah. So, that's very, very important to us to be sure that they're educated well enough to know that this is what really goes on, that we just can't come in there and say, well, we're going to raise your rates $5. We can't do that. Yeah.
Well, as a board member, or maybe even as the current customer, most people might not realize that you're keeping 6 set of books, and that's a pretty big undertaking, not only for yourself, but through accounting and throughout the entire department, throughout the entire facility.
Well, it's almost like you run the numbers every day. It seems like every time you turn around, you run the numbers. I mean, we're going through the budget process right now, and it's taking a long time, which it normally does take a long time, but you've got to have a separate meeting for each department of any time that you ever make changes to be sure we're all on the same page, that everybody understands, and then you have a complete budget work session that is coming up here pretty soon, and it just takes a long time to get everything prepared.
When you talk about budgeting, the hard part is it's hard to think about the unexpected, which you have to think about.
Well, right now, the ones that we can't control, I can give the staff a lot of credit. We're keeping it within 1 and 1.5% of what we can control under what I call management control. and everything else outside of that we can't control. Right now you got the tariffs that's going to be hitting things pretty hard, and it's going to make a big difference again on what your rates are, what the cost of material is, delivery times, and those kinds of things.
I heard you talking this morning about a delivery time of some kind of meter that was almost 2 years out.
Yeah, we got them in the other day, and they've been on order for 2 years.
Wow, that's I don't think the average public would understand that. Most of the time you think, well, if I want to order something, I get it on Amazon, it'll be here in 3 days, but it don't work that way.
No, it doesn't work that way. Anytime that we do that and you put it in your capital projects out there, and then you got it planned for 1 year, whether they call you up and say, well, Britt, it's going to be another year before you get anything. That's just like bucket trucks and digger trucks and other utility bed trucks. You might be able to come across one, but we've had some bucket and digger trucks on order for 5 years now and still don't know when we're going to get them.
So they're not sitting on some car lot somewhere.
Not like it used to be.
All right. One thing that's been good for young people is we've had a job shadowing program that gives young people an opportunity to get a look and see if this is the area they want to go. Some people do, and some people go to TCAT and learn a trade and come back in here to work. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, and we had 20-something kids on the job shadowing, and since we started that, there's been some other utilities that's going in that direction. And, I got that forum coming up that I got to go to speak at the Tennessee Valley Public Power Association, and we're going to talk about a lot of those things of retention, training, all of that, of how you try to keep your good employees.
Absolutely. We have been able to get some employees from our student utility board. I think we now have 3 from that program started in 2010. And so, of course, everybody is not going to come to work here, but some may. And we have a graduation coming up next Thursday of our student board this year. And I know that's a program you're proud of. Yeah,
very proud. We have a lot of good students to come through this program, and a lot of them are very amazed about what we do, and some of them get very interested in wanting to come back, even if they go to college and, come back out, could be an opportunity for you to go to work here.
And they get to learn about, at some point as they're seniors in high school now, they'll be building a house or getting married, and they'll have an electric bill and a water bill and a gas bill and a telecom bill, so they can understand how it works and who to see here and all that stuff.
That is correct.
All right. Let's see, our writing contest winners. We had 3 that's been named from 2025 Washington Youth Tour Writing Contest. Zaylin Edmondson from Fayetteville High School, Claire Bradford from Lincoln County High School, and Sierra Fairchild from Riverside Christian Academy, and they'll be taking off to all expense paid trip to Washington, D.C. in June.
Yeah, and anybody that gets that opportunity to take that trip, and when they come back, they have a good experience. They meet a lot of people that they become friends with, and they'll have those contacts for the rest of their life.
Absolutely, and we appreciate the Tennessee Electric Cooperative Association and FPU for making that happen, and it is a very good program. As you've been here nearly 50 years, we're coming up on the 90th year of electricity in Lincoln County. That's FPU's electric department turns 90 years old this year.
That's correct, and we got something that's going on for internal purposes right now, and with some state representatives and those kinds of things, and which will be coming up next week, and then later on this year, during a good, pretty spring day or fall day, we're going to have a public opening. They'll come down and see what we do, and here at the main office.
Well, we're proud of every year that we've served Fayetteville and Lincoln County. So just stay tuned for more information about what Britt's talking about, and we're looking forward to talking about that, because when we talk about that every time me and you are on the radio or whatever, electricity is a great thing, and so many times we take it for granted when just about 100 years ago there were people here who didn't have it and didn't expect it.
Well, a lot of utilities have a lot more problems than what we have, and we try to provide a good service, and I think we do provide a good service, especially with the dedicated employees we have that work here. They'll do anything they can, to help the customer, and it's like you said, you get to the point where some of us get spoiled, and very, very rarely do you have an outage, or if your water don't work, or your wastewater, or your broadband and gas, and you know, and you don't hear all those goods of, you know, every day that I got it. You only hear the times that when I don't have it. So it makes a big difference.
And we're so dependent now on broadband that we definitely don't want that going out.
No, we don't. And, you know, once it goes out, because a lot of people work from home these days.
That's right.
And, you know, we want to provide a good service. And that's our goal, is always to keep providing good service.
Yep, and that's what we're going to continue to do. We're going to continue it for Petersburg and all the other services that we have, and we're looking forward to a busy year. I know you had a busy time, and I'm proud we had a moment to sit down and talk about the things going on to let the public know, but we are going to be closed on Memorial Day, which is May 26th. But when we say we're closed, we're really never closed.
We're never closed. We have dispatch 24/7. We have people on call 24/7, and you know, anything that happens over the holidays, weekends, or anything like that, we're ready to respond.
You have people that go to virtually every car wreck and every house fire, and there again, probably the public don't realize that.
Yes, everything that anytime there's a call, like you said, if it's a house fire, car wrecks, you know, poles hit, infrastructure underground dug up, you know, we respond.
Many times with the people on call, our people are there before the first responders are, and we're really the true first responders in many cases.
Well, a lot of times we are.
Yeah, many times. All right. Well, we appreciate it. Like I say, dispatchers will be here 24 hours a day through the weekends and nights and holidays or whatever, and we appreciate them being here. And anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, just everybody enjoy the warm weather. Stormy season's, you know, is almost here again, and I think they're talking about it again on Thursday. But, you know, if the power goes out or any other service is interrupted, we'll get you back up and going as quick as we can.
Spring is here, and it's going to be a good year, and we've got a lot going on and a lot of work going to be going. Let's talk one more time about the work around the square while we have a moment to touch base on that. Big operation's going to start Monday, and tell us where they're going to start and where it's going to end. Maybe.
We're going to be on the south side of the square starting Monday, and I'm not saying we might not be doing some other work if we have time on the other sides, if it's available where we can, but we're starting on the south side. Got to do a lot of saw cutting first, you know, over the asphalt and those kinds of things to be able to get a ditch dug. And all I ask again is if you come in the next day and if you got a problem, you call the office at 433-1522, and we will make sure that we get that problem resolved quickly.
This is done by a contractor, but Britt's going to be there some, and so you're going to have somebody there all the time as well.
And that is correct.
Hopefully not me, since it's overnight.
No, I thought you was number one.
All right. Well, anyway, so if anybody's got any issues with that, feel free to let us know, and we'll be glad to let you know the details, and we're going to try to make it as painless as possible.
Yes, we are.
All right. Britt Dye, our CEO, General Manager here at Fayetteville Public Utilities, talking to us about all we've got coming up in the month of May, and we'll do this again later on this month and get you updated on where we're at that point. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching here on Fayetteville Public Utilities.